Okay, welcome to the Behind Enemy Lines Sports Podcast with Brandon Matthews. I've been standing here for probably 20 minutes trying to figure out what the hell am I going to say, and I think I'm just nervous to be on video, so here we are. I guess I'm just going to wing it. But this is the first video episode of the Behind Enemy Lines Sports Podcast that I have done. So this is going to be a fun one. It's also going to be kind of random. Because of trying to set everything up in a way that actually works, I haven't had a chance to log any news. But I do have a few stories from today that have come out. I don't know. I guess I'll start off by saying this is going to be on YouTube, as well as all the audio forms. Going to be on Spotify, Google, Amazon. What is the other one? Stitcher. I believe there's another one, but I'll put it all in the description. Also, go follow me on Instagram, Behind Enemy Line Sports. On Instagram, you can also find me on Twitter at BRANM2012, BranM2012. I tweet about sports. I tweet about random things there. Just find me. Whatever. So, to start off, as you can see, Seahawks. Bam! So, we're just going to start there because Jamal Adams got a contract extension. For basically the whole summer, we, as a Seattle Seahawks fan, been trying to figure out what's going to happen with Jamal Adams. And I guess we have our answer. So, it's been noted that the team and Adams were negotiating all the way up until today, which today is August 17th. So, now they finally have it done. I think it was like a day or two ago. It was put out to the media that Seattle had sent out their final offer to Jamal, and they had just been waiting to hear what he was going to say. I don't recall exactly if there were any murmurs about his decision at the point that that news came out. But it did take a day or two for this news to finally come around, so they must have been working it over. But to sum it all, Jamal Adams will be agreed to a 4-year, $70 million contract with $38 million guaranteed. This makes him the highest paid safety in the NFL, and I think that's based off of just the percentage of money he's getting guaranteed versus how much the contract's worth. So for the next 4 years, it looks like we have Jamal Adams. I don't think it's a big deal for Seattle because even with that being the case, with Jamal Adams, they do have some money going into the next year, so it's not a big deal. The bigger deals are the players that are coming up and the players that are going to be needing their contract extensions. I mean, was it DK Metcalf? This is his third year, so I believe he's got 2 more years on his rookie contract, and then unless he has a real bad year this year and then nothing much better next. He's definitely going to be asking for a lot of money. So hopefully Seattle is able and in a position to keep DK without gutting the team. But back to Jamal Adams. I'm not super upset about. I'm not even upset about this. I'm actually pretty happy that Jamal Adams is coming back to Seattle. He's a pretty unique player for what he does because he is a safety, but he also lines up in a linebacker position, running off the edge to surprise quarterbacks or to hide a look. And it's a pretty unique style that Seattle's going with now, with that type of a setup. So I think there's value in it. I don't think I think not everyone, but I think the criticisms of Jamal Adams' coverage, I wouldn't say they aren't legitimate, but I think last year wasn't a great example of Jamal Adams' ability in coverage because he did have broken fingers for most of the season. He broke a record. Whether or not you think that's impressive or not, for his position, he broke a record. And if he's all healed up and and if he's been working in the off season, then we'll see if his coverage improves. Seattle's going to need it. The corners we have currently are a little concerning. They're not exactly grade A, top of the line, but I think Seattle will try to work with what they got, and hopefully, some of these younger guys they've signed recently will step up or at least show that they are a year or two away from blowing up and becoming a good player. So that's something to look forward to. Also, I'm not concerned about the defensive line. I think the defensive line is stacked. I just hope they don't go to the three technique that they've been used to going through, because I think teams are pretty used to it by now. Um, so, I mean, I hope with this new season comes some new setups and some new ways to get to the quarterback and to stop that play. Moving on. Today also it was announced that Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow. Is that right? Yes, was cut from the Jacksonville Jaguars. What can you expect? The guy hasn't played in the NFL in quite a few years now. And also he's switching positions from quarterback to tight end. I think what really did it was the first week of preseason. Tim Tebow was just going for a block, and I don't think Tim was avoiding the hit. I think, if anything, he was just completely off balance, because it almost looked like he barely even got tapped, barely got hit, and he just took it to the ground. But that's just not a good look. That just looks ridiculous. And I can tell you right now, in that they probably didn't see much else. I mean, I would say I agree with the comments I hear about, that particular spot, his tight end spot could go to a younger guy who's yet to make either the jump to to their success, or someone who's more deserving it. I mean, Tim Tebow, I don't want to say it's worth a shot, but at the same time, there are young guys coming up. They want what he had at one point as a quarterback. They want that fame. They want the money. They want to be able to support their family. And although Tim Tebow still wants to play football, which is understandable to an extent, you're kind of taking the opportunity away from a person who wants to make, who still has years left in their career. Tim Tebow, I think realistically, if he goes to another team, I'm not even sure how old he is. I know he's in his 30s. Or at least I believe he is. But either way, at his age, he probably wouldn't play much longer than a couple of years, or a few years maybe. And those 2-3 years could be used to develop a new guy in his position, and have a guy who's played tight end in there ready to go. What else? A lot of NFL news. The preseason week 1 was interesting. Seattle lost, so I'm not super concerned about it. A lot of it was just young guys, depth players in the game, so I wasn't super concerned about it. There were some linemen that I wouldn't say I was necessarily keeping an eye on, but noticed. I can't remember their names, so maybe I shouldn't even worry about talking about it. But either way, I guess a little bit. So these two guys weren't exactly great to start the game, but they picked it up a little bit throughout. Whatever. I just hope Seattle is developing linemen better than they have in the past, because the way they were doing it before wasn't working. So I hope going forward they have a better plan to develop players who want to be linemen. They are already considered one of the best teams when it comes to developing cornerbacks. So I'm not saying that should translate to linemen, but I hope they realize that's an area of concern, and they need to, rather than trying to hit the jackpot, they need to pick a guy who's got the skill set and the ceiling available to be able to become a good lineman if he's not as good when he starts out. What else? Statistically, Drew Lock was probably the best quarterback, which was funny to see. I believe he threw 7 passes, but completed 5, but well over 100, or not well over, but over 100 yards. I believe over 140, which was pretty interesting. I saw the replays. And some of it was the guys he was throwing to taking it and picking up yards. But there were some throws that I saw. I was like, I don't remember Drew Lock being able to make that throw last year or the year before. So maybe he's developed a little bit, and hopefully so. Denver, they really need some help at that position. So I know they were really pushing, or at least some of the people were really pushing to get Aaron Rodgers in there. But I mean, if Drew Lock is finally unlocked that skill set that the Denver thought he had when they signed him up, then hey, happy fans, happy team. We'll see what happens. And Jordan Love did all right. I actually, Trevor Lawrence, I was not, I shouldn't say I was surprised or wasn't surprised. I shouldn't say I was surprised. He didn't look amazing, but you look at a guy like Justin Fields and you're just like, interesting. That's all I can say, I think, about that. It's just interesting. Justin Fields looked pretty good, and Trevor Lawrence looked all right, but I'm not going to put too much weight into that right now, although I am a little impressed that Justin Fields did so well. Mac Jones did all right, too. I don't remember exactly what his passing yards were, but I did catch some of the game, and, he was making some of these passes. They were safe for most part. But overall, pretty accurate. Good arm, from what I could tell. So, I'm excited going forward. Let's see, Seattle plays Denver this week, so I'll keep an eye on that. I'll be watching, see what's going on. Not super close, but close enough, I guess. Nah, that's not a lie. That's a lie. I'm gonna be watching that shit, probably from start to finish. And maybe even a part of another game here and there, but definitely watching the highlights. Oh, shoot, I forgot to even mention. So, with my current camera situation, I'm running on a DSLR, Nikon D5300, I believe it is. Yeah. There's no option to get the camera to run without having to stop. So, every 20 minutes, there probably will be a break in the video, because I'll have to restart the video, but there's going to be no delay in between, pretty much. It'll stop, or I'll stop it, and then I'll start it and try to continue the conversation where I left it. But moving on. So we have 8 minutes left before I have to do this. Anyways, so UFC. There was a couple things I want to talk about that. Paulo Costa, welterweight. No, I'm sorry, not welterweight. Middleweight. That's wrong also. No, it's not. Middleweight, I believe. Anyways, so he gave a little more insight on his loss to Izzy and the night that preceded, the fight against Israel Adesanya. And, he just kind of reconfirms that he did drink a bottle of wine, but he adds a little more context to it, explaining, normally he does have a glass of wine at night when he's having a hard time sleeping. Ended up having a harder time sleeping. The fight was also in Abu Dhabi, and that's an important point to put out there. And that particular night, I guess supposedly, I'm kind of not on Paulo Costa's side in this situation. I think it's just an unnecessary excuse at this point. He's got another fight. Talk about that. Don't talk about Izzy and why you lost to him. But basically, he explains how, with the fight being in Abu Dhabi, you technically had an extra night of rest, so because the fight was in the morning. So he ended up training a little too hard the day before and ended up having a hard time sleeping, so that's why he ended up having a glass of wine, which ultimately turned into multiple glasses and then the bottle because he couldn't fall asleep. So I guess he ended up going the nuclear option, hoping that drinking enough wine would put him to sleep. You're a professional athlete, dude. You know what alcohol does. I can understand, a glass of wine or a beer or even 2 beers. You're more than likely going to feel it anyways, even with such a low amount of alcohol. But drinking a bottle of wine, I'd rather be tired than hungover. You definitely don't get a good night's sleep when you're drunk. When you get drunk, your sleep is actually worse. You do sleep, but the quality of sleep sucks. So to think that you're going to pass out and basically sleep your way to the next day with a fight, not even to mention drinking alcohol is going to dehydrate you, so you also cramp up more. Man, I just don't know. I don't know what was going on in his head. Like I said, it's an excuse. So at the end of the day, you didn't beat Izzy. So whatever excuse you have, I mean, it's not relevant, especially now because you have another fight coming up against a guy named Marvin Vettori, the Italian Dream, who is also a clown. So I guess it's a clown fight. It's about to be a circus. And I think if I'm going to choose a guy to win that particular fight, I'm definitely, although I don't really care for either guy, I'll go with Paulo Costa. I believe unless Marvin can get Paulo tired, quick pause. Then I don't see, or not that I don't see. Then I would say if Marvin can get Paulo Costa tired, then Marvin may be able to do what he wants. I mean, shoot, if Paulo's tired, he can just take him to the ground, and keep him there, ground and pound him. I mean, basically win the fight via more than likely a unanimous decision off of that. But I mean, that'd be boring as hell. But I mean, what do you expect from Marvin Vettori? I don't expect fireworks when I watch him fight, but dude probably win. But otherwise, if we can look back to Costa versus Yoel Romero, if it stays on the feet, then we might have ourselves a fight, and that would be pretty exciting. I'd actually like to see. I mean, as much as I talk shit about these two guys, I would really enjoy to see them fight. I would really enjoy to, like, individually or fighting each other. I want to see these guys fight. Like, I sound like a casual fan. I do enjoy the, ground fighting and all that stuff. But I like a good scrap. So if these guys can keep it standing and fighting, I'd be happy. Now, as far as what do I see next for both of these guys? I would almost hope, this is my kind of like my dream situation with these guys. So Marvin Vettori, if he wins, I really hope Kevin Holland beats his next guy. Because I want to see that rematch. I want to see if Kevin Holland's gotten better at the ground game. And I'm hoping in his next fight, which I do believe it's confirmed. I don't remember who it is, but I do believe he's got a fight confirmed, or at least it's now confirmed that he's got someone lined up, but maybe not announced. But either way, I want to see that fight ran back because honestly, I think Kevin Holland could beat him if he stays on the feet. So if Kevin Holland keeps Marvin Vettori from taking him down, boom, I think that's good for Kevin Holland. Paulo Costa, who would I want to see him fight? Man, that's a good question. He hasn't fought in so long. It's hard for me to say. I mean, he lost to Izzy. If he beats Marvin, then he probably might get another shot fighting Izzy, but that would be boring. I hope Israel gets a different name opponent. I don't want to see. I mean, maybe Marvin and Paulo. I mean, I think this is true regardless of what happens in their fight. I think both of them are at least 2 or 3 fights away from fighting for the title again, because I think the UFC will probably start having Izzy fight some different names. Please God. Because the fans want to see Izzy fight like Darren Till. Who else? There's a few other guys coming up, or not even coming up, that are there that people want to see him fight. I mean, Kevin Holland's another name, and I mean I would love to see that fight. At this point right now, I don't think Kevin Holland could beat Izzy, but Darren Till and Kevin Holland. I mean, shit. I think the trash talk would be epic. I think that alone would build a bunch of excitement for this fight. It's just those two guys. Kevin Holland, Izzy, and Darren Till and Izzy. Like, if they respectively fighting Izzy, then I think the build-up would be based around their entire trash talk and their goofiness, their memeing, and their fans, because the fans contribute to it as well. So, yeah, man, I'm smiling because it actually kind of excites me thinking about that. As far as other fights, I guess since I'm thinking about it, Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Oh, actually, speaking of Colby Covington, this guy wants to move up a weight class and fight Izzy. So I believe that that's the case. He wants to fight. Yes, he does. So Colby wants to fight Kamaru, beat him, and then move up a weight class and fight Izzy. Man, I don't give a shit how good your wrestling is. And I understand Colby Covington's thing is a shtick and he's being a heel. And I'm not saying that's why I dislike the guy. I just. And he's a good fighter. I'm not going to go around that. He is a good fighter. But I don't think. Unless he has skills so advanced in wrestling that Izzy cannot do anything if he gets taken down. I don't think Colby has the striking to fight Izzy. I think as much pressure as Colby Covington puts on his opponents, Izzy's pretty good at controlling that distance, especially because he's so long. So fighting someone like Colby, who's definitely shorter than him, shorter arm span and everything, I think Izzy would just pick him apart from the outside. I think he would just keep the distance, use kicks to his advantage, try to keep Colby from taking him down via, just trying to control the distance. But ultimately, I think Izzy probably has that fight if that happens. And then I love Reddit because MMA Reddit was making jokes about Colby wanting to fight, the next heaviest guy. So after Izzy, then he's got Francis. After Francis, he's got a bear. After the bear, he's got a rhino. I don't know. All I know is it ended with him fighting a blue whale. So we'll see. Catch it on pay-per-view at Aqua World, I guess, or whatever the hell it's called. I know there's a lot more news that's gone on this week. I don't remember any of it. Like I said, I haven't been able to do the news the way I want to do because I've been trying to get this set up, and it's not even finished. As you can tell, I'm in my shed, and I've only got one sign. Pew, pew. But the next one will be much better. I might do a UFC Vegas prediction show this week because on Saturday we have Jared Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum. I'm looking forward to that. There's some other fights on there I'm looking forward to. If I do end up doing that, I'll probably end up coming out on Friday because I'll have to record Thursday. So look forward to that. Like I said, follow me on my podcast actually look up my podcast. Why not? This is the video. So do that, Behind Enemy Line Sports with Brandon Matthews on Spotify, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, your mom's house. I don't know. YouTube, Behind Enemy Line Sports, Twitter, BrandM 2012, and yeah, we got video now. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night. Bye.